Hello, everyone, and welcome to our podcast. This is JB.
And I'm Chandler, and this is the Unbiased Hard Take.
And on today's Unbiased Hard Take, me and JB, again, football season's over. I'm going to say that a lot this offseason. It's so sad. But NFL Scouting Combine has come. But with that, we got an all-basketball podcast for you guys today. So last time you guys seen us, the All-Star break was wrapping up, and there wasn't really a lot to talk about. Well, that has totally changed. As you look, JB, we're going to dive right into topic one. As you look, the Golden State Warriors and the Los Angeles Lakers are both at the bottom of the play-in right now. The Golden State Warriors, the 9 seed, the Lakers are the 10 seed. With that, JB, who do you think is more likely to have a deep playoff push? The Lakers or the Warriors, and why?
Well, for me, honestly, it's probably going to be the Lakers. They're probably going to have a better push than what the Golden State Warriors is. Yes, even though the Lakers are on the bottom right now, they do have one more win than what the Golden State Warriors does, but they have one more loss than what the Golden State Warriors have. But if we kind of look at the stats here for the actual average points, they are averaging up to 117.2 points a game, and that is really good. But for a 10th seed, I don't know, Chief. And then if we actually look at the Warriors stats for their game, it's 119. But you also have to look at the Golden State Warriors and their drama with Draymond Green actually coming back. I think this is last year for being a Golden State Warrior. So, I mean, if you look, I don't want to say Klay Thompson is I don't think he's not that good anymore. Yes, he's averaging 17 points a game right now. But he's not the way that he used to be before. I mean, yes, he can give you, 25, 23 points a game here and there. But he's not how the way he used to be. I mean it comes of age because he's 34 right now. And then Steph Curry, he's 35 and he's averaging 27 points. So, I mean, I do believe his average came down a little bit from last year. His points per game and all that stuff. So, and then if you want to dive in a little bit more on the stat wise for the Lakers here, they have starting to get a young team here, but you also have to look at LeBron James, and then who's my mind's going. Oh, Anthony Davis. Those two. And Spencer Dinwiddie. There's the only 3 players that's either at 30 or above. Everyone else is in their high, mid, late 20s. And I mean, LeBron's still averaging 25 points. I mean, I don't know what else you can need from him. And then Anthony Davis is also averaging 25 points. So with the 2 big main people that I just mentioned, I think those 2 are going to shine a lot more in the playoffs. And that's why I think the Lakers are going to have a stronger run in the playoffs than what the Golden State Warriors is.
Okay. So me and you are actually opposite on this. Maybe this should have been our casual talk. However, I think the Warriors easily have a better chance at a deep playoff run, and I have some stats also to tell you why. I think Golden State, so let's look. In total offensive efficiency, Golden State's top 10 in the NBA, they're 10th. Where the Lakers ranked, they're 18th. But they're the older team, right? So let's go to defense, because older teams don't play as good defense, right? Well, in scoring defense, the Warriors are 18th, and the Lakers are 20th. The Warriors have won a title more recently, 2 years ago. Not even quite 2 years ago. And they were an old team then. So we know they can do it. They made the playoffs last season, so we know they're still capable of getting there. That's the thing. And Klay Thompson, a lot of their woes and Klay Thompson's woes happened when he was in the starting lineup. Let's look to see what Klay Thompson's done since being on the bench. On the bench, 19.2 points a game, 3.7 rebounds a game, 2 assists per game. And that's 6 games coming off the bench. The Warriors are third best in the NBA at scoring from the bench, and the Lakers are 23rd. So I think from top to bottom, Steph Curry is still playing at a high level. Him and LeBron both are. So they can cancel each other out.
Mm-hmm.
Draymond, then I know he's not what he quite used to be, but as far as plus minus, the advanced stats say Draymond's still a good player. So then you look, you have Jonathan Kuminga, Chris Paul just came back from injury. He scored 13 the other night. And Andrew Wiggins as well has kind of figured it out as of late. So the Warriors still have that group of nucleus that they still had when they won the championship a few years ago. And ever since Klay's been coming off the bench, they have been playing much better. I'm holding on. Let me see here. I believe they're 7-3 their last 10 games. I'm gonna pull that up here right now. They are 8-2. The Lakers are 7-3. So the last 10 games are 8-2. The Lakers are only 7-3. Currently, the Warriors are the 9 spot. Currently, the Lakers are the 10 spot. And then I'm gonna go even farther here. So Golden State, they're a 3-point shooting team, right? They're third in 3-point percentage rankings. The Lakers are the Warriors are 5th. The Lakers are 13th. So you look at all those categories. State for the entire season outranks LA in all of those categories. They're higher in the standings. They both have older superstars. Anthony Davis isn't as young as he used to be. LeBron's the oldest player in the league. But then you look at head coach. I think the Warriors have an advantage at head coach with Steve Kerr, obviously. So looking at it from that perspective, Steph's averaging more points per game than LeBron is right now. So long as the Klay can continue coming off the bench and giving them that bench mark, and he's being a selfless player. He truly is. People forget, back when they won the championship, I think the first time, when Andre Iguodala was part of the team, he took less of a role himself for better of the team. That was back when Klay was still a younger player. And Klay, I think, has learned from that and has realized, okay, I'm in my mid-30s. I can do better off the
Coming
bench
off
now.
a major injury.
Right. Also coming off of a major injury in your 30s. Come off the bench. Be Steph's Robin. He kind of was the second player, but now he's part of that second unit. That when Steph and the starters aren't out there, Klay and the backups can come in here and do the exact same thing the starters did. So that, I think, is going to be the big difference. So long as Klay continues to come off the bench, I think the Warriors can at least get to round 2. I don't think they're a title contender anymore. They're getting a little older. They have some problems they didn't have before. I do think they're at least, at best, a second round team. I think they'll win round 1. I don't think the Lakers will. If the Lakers get in the playoffs, I don't think they'll get swept, but I don't think they will win round 1. They'll get out of the play-in. Both of them will. I think both Steph and LeBron are too great. They have good teams. They'll both get out of the play-in, but the Lakers, I think, will lose round 1. I think the Warriors win round 1 and get to round 2.
Two
And
different
that's shocking.
perspectives.
Right. Well, they're both older teams. But I know, like you said, that the Lakers have a lot of younger players, but a lot of their younger players are not their superstar players.
They're just role playing.
All of their role players are who's young. And Golden State just old in general, it seems like. I mean, yeah, they have Jonathan Kuminga, who's come off, he's a younger player and whatnot. But Draymond Green's old, Steph's old, Andrew Wiggins isn't a young buck anymore himself. So These are both old teams coming to an end. I think LeBron's career is also obviously coming to an end at some point here soon, and we can see the end of the Warriors dynasty in front of us. It's
Yep.
happening in front of our eyes. They're
Mm-hmm.
just getting a little older. Steph still has it, but it's Draymond's not as good. I think Draymond's still good. I think Draymond needs to stay as part of that team. I think he's their heart. I think he's an asshole. I'll say that. I think he's an ass. I think he's a dirty player. But here's the difference. Who Jordan and Pippen have, especially the later part of their dynasty. Rodman. Rodman was the same way.
Mm-hmm.
You need that physical player who just does not care what anyone thinks. They'll do the dirty work for you. That way Steph and Clay can do their thing. So I think Draymond's a big core of that nucleus.
Hmm.
What makes you think Draymond going to be gone? They just signed him that big extension. You think they're just
Well,
tired of the antics?
yeah, I think Steve Kerr is tired of his drama and everything that he brings to the table. It's just everything is just it's just drama. I mean, why do you think Rodman left the Bulls a while back?
I mean, you're not wrong.
I mean, it's the same concept. I mean Draymond's less crazy. I mean, he's not dyeing his hair random colors or he's staying in Las Vegas and going to strip clubs the day before the game and actually snorting cocaine off of strippers and I mean at least Draymond's not doing that. But I mean, but
It's fair.
still, it's this. I feel like it's the same concept of um of Draymond and Rodman. I think I
It
think
is
I
because
think
you
I think
brought.
the whole team is tired of Draymond's attitude, and I think Draymond is just doesn't care.
I mean, he has literally physically gotten to altercations at practice
With
in the past
multiple,
with teammates.
multiple,
Right,
even
right. Him and
coaches.
Kevin Durant had problems when Kevin Durant was part of the Warriors, so he's had issues his whole career.
Hmm.
But they continue winning titles. They literally won titles before Kevin Durant got there. Then Kevin Durant got there, and they were just unstoppable. No one could stop them. And then after KD left, they won another title. I think those days are over, but I wouldn't want to play Golden State in round one. I absolutely. If I'm Minnesota or Oklahoma City, who is sitting top of that Western Conference, both those are young teams who have never been there before. If I'm those two teams, I do not want to see Golden State in round one, especially with how Clay's playing off the bench.
Hmm.
Yeah, no. How Steph's been playing all year long. No. Draymond's back from suspension. Wiggins is figuring it out. Steve Kerr's a champion. As a player and a coach, I would not want to see them.
Yeah, I agree.
You want
I
to talk
agree.
about a round one upset, an eight seed or a 7 seed beating that 1 or 2 seed? That'll be it. If it happens, it'll be Golden State or Miami, depending on where the East standings fall.
Hmm. I mean, because right
But
now
uh
the Miami Heat are in the seventh seed right now. We are in the play-in as of right now. We're one game away from tying against Orlando.
correct. But we also got to consider we're also 1 game away from being the 5 seed. So the Eastern Conference standings are super
Yep.
tight. It's not a big difference. It could change in a matter of a night or two. And speaking of the Miami Heat, JB, we're gonna jump into topic two because the Miami Heat are me and JB's topic two. Us being Heat fans, we're gonna follow up to the topic we had when Miami was struggling and they were on that winning streak. So JB, the Heat just ended a 6-game road trip. They finished that 5-1. Only loss being the defending champion Nuggets recently.
Yep.
So with the Heat
Close
on that
game though.
on that
Close game.
hot road, right? With the Heat finishing that 6-game road trip 5-1, JB, playoff basketball starting to heat up. We're starting to get into the crunch time. Are the Heat poised for another deep playoff run? I know that last time you said they might miss the playoffs. So how are you feeling now?
Well, I do believe now, because I said if they don't step it up, then yes, we're gonna miss the playoffs. And they actually came out and fought every bit of it. And I like to see it. That's what I wanted. That's what I wanted. That's what I wanted to see. I want to see them fight, and I want to see them win. And guess what? They did both. Because if you look, Philadelphia, we won 109 to 104. That was a really close game. I mean, we killed Milwaukee. I mean, that was no shocker there. And seeing we killed the Pelicans. I don't want to say we played really well against Sacramento. And we played really good against Portland. It's just the only team that I feel like we can't beat right now is the Denver Nuggets. And it's saddens me that we can't beat the Denver Nuggets. I mean, and Jimmy Butler played really good. I think it's just for the fact that I feel if we play really great defense on one player or both players, it looks like, because we held Nikola Jovic to 18 points and Jamal Murray to 6 points. They're basically two big scores. But then yet they have other better players that can do the exact same the other two do. And Michael Porter Jr. stepped up to the plate that game, and we just could not stop. But I mean, it was a good game. I still want to see a little bit more fight with Terry Rozier. I mean, him only having 19 points, averaging 19, 13.18 points a game. I mean, I feel like we need more from you. A lot more from you. I mean, we got you for scoring, and you're not doing that right now. Yes, 19 is good, but honestly, some bench players can average just as amount as you can. So I want to see more fight, Terry, because I mean that ain't it. I mean, you going 6 for 15, 1 for 8 at 3. Like that's what I feel like that's who we signed up. That's what you signed up for. We need you score. You put the ball in the hoop. That's what we signed you for, and you're not doing it correctly. So I want to see more fight from Terry Rozier.
Do you think we're poised for a deep playoff run?
If we get our heads in the right mindset, like we have been like last year, I do believe so.
Okay.
But we need to get that mindset back, because that long stretch of losing in a row, I mean, that's what basically killed us the most. I mean, games
Oh
that
yeah,
we,
especially in the standings.
yeah, especially when we were, I felt like we were number one in the standings in our division, and it was just fell hard. Like we were at 100 to a 0 real quick. And that what sickened me.
But it was the longest losing streak for the Heat in over 10 years. I think it was 2008. Don't quote me on that. We've talked about that
Mm-hmm.
before, but it was definitely the longest in over 10 years.
Yep. But if we do what we just did with this small run that we had of all the road wins or the roads that we were on. Like we beat Milwaukee, even though they're struggling. I feel like they're struggling really hard, but they had the biggest victory in a while. So I mean that's good for them. I do believe, yeah, it was the Hornets, 123-85. But yeah, going back to the Miami Heat though, I do believe we'll probably go in a longer run if we have that same winning mentality. If we don't, it's over.
See, I'm going to take that to an extra notch because when we made our season predictions on the NBA Finals, I had a rematch. I had Denver and Miami in the finals again. I did. I had the same thing repeating, and I'm not going to back down from that. I think we'll make the finals. I think we at least go to the Eastern Conference Finals. Because look, who'd we beat? Okay, so we beat the Bucks. They're a playoff team. We beat the Sixers. They're in the playoffs right now. We beat the Pelicans. They're in the playoffs right now in a loaded West. We beat the Kings. They're fighting for a playoff spot / play-in. We beat the Trailblazers, so there's one bad team. And then we lost to the Nuggets. So out of all of those games, only one was against a bad team. That was it. The rest of them, we were beating legitimate teams. Legit teams. We just beat Milwaukee. We've beaten them in the past in the playoffs. We've beaten Boston in the past in the playoffs. Last year, people for some reason think that last year was some weird fluke. It wasn't, because we were just in the finals a couple of years ago in the COVID season in the bubble. We made the finals then. We made the Eastern Conference Finals a couple of years ago, but we lost to Boston when Boston lost the finals to Golden State. We were in Game 7 against them. We've been in the playoffs consistently, even after LeBron left. We had Luol Deng, D-Wade, Chris Bosh. People forget those years. We've always been competitive. We've always had that winning mentality. We will continue doing so. I'm going to say it. Miami will play Boston in the Eastern Conference Finals. I'm looking at the Eastern Conference standings right now. Mind you, we were a play-in team last year, so let's not worry about that. I think in a 7-game series, we beat Cleveland, Milwaukee, New York, Philadelphia, Orlando, Indiana, Chicago, Atlanta. I think we're better than all those teams.
Oh yeah.
That's my hot take. We are better than all of those teams. We are the second best team in the Eastern Conference as of right now. And Boston is known for folding in the playoffs when it matters most. Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, that's what they need to prove. That's what Boston has to prove. They don't need to prove anything in the regular season. We know how good they are in the regular season. They always are. They're elite players. They need to show it that they can beat Miami. They need to show that they can get to the finals and actually win the finals. Not get there, not get super close, but win. I think ultimately it comes down to, this is a hard take, that Miami is the second best team in the East. Why do I say that? Not only of our history of winning, but the Heat are 10th in 3-point rankings right now. The Heat are 7th ranked in defense, and I think the Heat have the best coach in the NBA. Eric Spoelstra took an 8 seed to the finals, a play-in team. The COVID season, he took us to the finals. That was like surprising. My jaw dropped. I didn't think we were going to be a finals team that year. We've been in the finals twice since 2020. Super close both times to winning the entire thing. We have the same core. Jimmy just made a comment recently about being different in the playoffs. He's starting to fire up. Bam, right now I have the stats here. He's averaging a double-double. Jimmy Butler's minus is plus 95 for the team. Tyler Hero's averaging 20.8 points a game. That's a career high for him. He also has a career high in assists at 4.4. Jamie Jacquez Jr., who's been really the rookie surprise in my opinion. 12.7 points a game. 12.7 points a game, 3.9 rebounds a game, 2.6 assists per game, excuse me. Jacquez Jr. just had 26 points against Sacramento. You have Duncan Robinson. Miami runs on Duncan. He's averaged 13.3 points a game. That's best since 2019. Caleb Martin's averaging 10.1 points a game. That's a career high. Terry Rozier with Miami's averaging 13.7 points a game for us. So I'll kind of tell JB this when he gets back. People knocking on his door and invading his privacy, dang it. I'm looking at Terry Rozier. He's only averaging 13.7 points a game for the Miami Heat. The last 2 games, he's had 19 points apiece. What I think people don't really realize about the Miami Heat, it's a team culture. It's not about individual players. The players are bigger than the team, kind of like you have across the NBA, where players are actually really the coaches. They get coaches fired all the time. How Miami operates. Eric Spoelstra's in charge of the Miami Heat and nobody else. You look, it's going to be pure team basketball. So individual stats are going to lower a little bit when you play for a team-first organization. Miami isn't the most talented team in the NBA. I'm not saying they are. Cleveland's more talented on paper. New York with Brunson, Philadelphia when Embiid's healthy. All of those teams have one thing in common. They are better than Miami on paper. So how's Miami getting to the finals every year? Hard work, honesty, coaching, team first mentality. That's something that the NBA has lost over the time. That Miami keeps proving to the NBA over and over and over again. That team first is ultimately what matters in the NBA. Nothing else. That is why the Miami Heat continue to be elite year after year after year. LeBron left Cleveland, they were horrible. LeBron left Cleveland, they were horrible. Both
Exactly.
times.
Exactly.
Both times. Well, JB didn't get arrested. We see it wasn't the police berating his house down.
Nope. So we're good.
So with that, what I was telling the people, JB, I'll give you a synopsis. That the Miami Heat have never, since LeBron left, been the most talented team in the world. So how do they continue to win and make the finals? Because truly, you look on paper, like I just said to hold the people, Cleveland's more talented on paper. Philly, Boston. Off the top of my head here, I said one more. Maybe I didn't. All of those teams on paper are more talented than Miami is. So how does Miami keep beating these teams? Team first basketball, hard work. I just said your Terry Rozier take. I actually think he's playing good for us. Yeah,
I
only
mean, he's
13.7
playing
points.
good, but I feel like we signed him to do better, and he's not doing the better part of what he's not doing as what he was doing when he was in Charlotte.
No, he's not. But you're not going to because Charlotte sucks. So there's plenty of shots. Ball's been hurt. LaMelo Ball's been hurt most of the year. He has injury history. So really,
I
there's not
mean,
really a lot of.
but if he just did the exact same thing, doing average or not averaging, but there's games that he had 23 plus points.
Mhm.
Just do it at Miami. That's what I want. I want the same athlete as he was in Charlotte and then put over to Miami. That's all I wanted. That's basically all I
And me
want.
too.
And right now I don't see it yet. I don't.
I think what I'm more so seeing is when you play for Charlotte, you're not sharing the ball with a lot of people.
Oh no,
Yeah, they have Miller.
because they don't have that much talent anymore. They don't. They
No,
don't.
Ball's been hurt. Yeah, you have Miller, who's the rookie, who's showed some promise. I think he's in the rookie of the year conversation, at least top 5. So you look, but when you come
Excuse
to
me.
Miami, you're playing with Jimmy Butler. You're playing
Mm-hmm.
with Bam, who's the 2 Hall of Fame stars right there. Tyler Hero. You have Duncan Robinson. You have a bunch of good nucleus players on that Miami Heat
Oh, I
team.
know. Oh, I know.
So there's not as many shots available to you. So what you need to do is when you get your shots is to make them. There might be times he only scores 10 points. That's 5 shots. Out of making 5 shots, you need to be only shooting 6 or 7. There's just not as many shots with Miami.
Yeah, but I mean, I just want to see him more.
On the stat sheet,
Just in general, it's
I mean,
just
I'll give you. I think 13.7 points a game is definitely disappointing considering what he was doing in Charlotte, over 21 points a game. But you got to look past. That's what I was telling when you were dealing with the door situation. Miami continues to beat teams that are more talented than them because their players are not selfish. They're not. They just play team basketball. Whatever's best for the team. That's
Yeah.
what has been lost in the NBA, I think. Everyone's so worried about their stats and how they look on the internet and their popularity and their individual selves. The NBA's gotten very selfish, in my opinion. That's
Oh,
why
yeah.
Miami continues to just grind people down.
But I mean, going 1 for 8 at the 3 point. I mean, I feel like
That's fair.
that's probably one of the main reasons why we lost. Because if he would have made at least 2 threes, I mean, we would have tied. And yes, that also including Jimmy Butler going 1 for 4, and then our rookie, no, our sophomore, um, Nikola Jovic, he also went 1 for 4. I mean, if any of those just made 1 or 2 more of their 3 points, we would have won the game. I just feel like we're just not, either we're not making right shots, or if we do, we're just straight out missing. So
But we're definitely scoring is still. We've had this. Miami's had this problem. We've had this conversation before this podcast or the Facebook even was thought of. Miami needs a pure scorer. That's why they traded for Terry Rozier. The problem is Terry Rozier is not an A level scoring star. He's not. He's a B
no,
level. He's B minus level. He's C plus level. He can score. He can. But we need a scoring superstar. We need someone better than Jimmy and Bam at scoring to be able to put us over the top. That's why we can't beat Denver. We can't score enough points to do it.
I mean we had the chance, but if we just, like I said, if we just made, out of those 3 people that I mentioned, like we could have won the game. But
Mhm.
but yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I mean, we just need an S tier score, and we had the shot, and I just feel like, I don't know why, I don't think we didn't blow it. I just think that Milwaukee did not want to, or Portland didn't want to give us the shot, because they knew that that's the only person, that's the key that we're missing. So why else give? And I feel like whatever the Milwaukee gave Portland on that trade, we had better. We had a lot better options than what Milwaukee gave. I mean, look what Portland's doing right now. They're 16 and 42.
One of the worst teams in the league.
Yep. So, but I mean, I'm just saying.
No,
But
I mean, you're right. You're right. To a point, I think you're right. We do need that level S tier score. We don't have one. Jimmy Butler's specialty is not scoring.
that's
Bam's
defense.
definitely isn't. Right.
Yeah.
My point. Tyler Hero,
I feel like
very.
I feel like we focus more on the defensive side of the ball than what the offensive side of the ball is. Yes, Bam, I mean, we've seen it at the All-Star. He can shoot threes. I mean, I don't know if you have, but during the off season and during their training, because when they film some of the training shoot arounds, Bam's just coming, like, just nonchalantly just shooting threes and making them consecutively. I don't know why he's not, using that to his potential.
He's a traditional big
But
man to me.
he's he
Yeah, a
is
lot of
a he yes, he is a traditional big man. But I do believe he can step outside of his boundaries and actually progress. I feel like he
there
can
are
be
times.
I could feel like he can be a multi um offense and defense a player. And yes, and I know some people are going to say, well, he's averaging, oh, what is he averaging? Hold on. Yeah, he's averaging 20 points a game. He's a and he's averaging double double. 20 points, 10 rebounds. That is good. Averaging a double double is a fantastic stat line. But I just feel like there's more of what he can do. Because and we're just looking at last game. Oh, right. Oh, by the way, we are losing against the Utah Jazz right now. 62-15.
It's only a 4. Right, it's only a 4-point game at halftime. We'll see. Good
Well, yeah.
teams get it done in the second.
Yeah. I mean,
Good teams get it done in the second.
and yes, I do also believe we are a second, and we've always been that way. And I mean, looking at Bam's um, last game against um, Denver. God, I can't read today. It's even right in front of my face, and I can't even read it. I mean, he went 8 for 18, 7 rebounds. I mean, 8 rebounds total. And 3 assists and 1 steal. No blocks, no nothing. But he did actually a really good job into actually holding Nikola Jovic's to 18 points. Yes, the rebounds is a little higher, but in only 16 or 6 for 15 on the field. So, and Bam had averaged 22 that game. So, he's getting the job done. I do love Bam, and it's like we talked before even the podcast. I always said I need more from Bam. And he's doing that. But I know he can do a lot more than what only averaging 20 points and 11 rebounds a game. I want to see more. He can be one of the most dominant big men in the league. He's almost, I would say he's the same size as Kevin Garnett. Look at Kevin Garnett's stats when he was at the same age as Bam is. Kevin Garnett is a lot better. I feel like I want to say he's the same caliber as Kevin Garnett, and he's not doing that. Yes, he's like I said, yes, he's doing a phenomenal job on defense. But I just feel like Bam needs to be more dominant on the offensive side of the ball.
Bam is what Kevin Garnett was early in his career. I have Kevin Garnett's stats right here. In 97-98, his third year in the NBA, 18.5 points a game, 9.6 rebounds. The year after that, 99, he had 20.8 points a game, 10.4 rebounds per game. So Bam is what Kevin Garnett was early in his career. As time went on, Kevin Garnett was able to get better up until obviously he won the championship with Boston. Because at one point with Minnesota, he played for some very bad Minnesota teams. I mean, he averaged 24.2 points a game, and he always was around a double double or had a double double. So I think a lot of people will think that's a hard take, but in my opinion, if Bam keeps it up, he's a Hall of Fame player. So I don't think that's really.
I just want to see something. What was
Mhm.
Kevin Garnett's stats his 7th year?
Year 7.
Yep, because this is
That was
Bam's 7th year.
That was 2001-2002 season, where he played 81 of 82 games, and he averaged 21.2 points a game, 12.1 rebounds a game, and 5.2 assists per game for the Minnesota Timberwolves.
So he's averaging one more point and way more rebounds and one assist more. And he was dominant. And he was really dominant in that year too. It's like I said.
Bam, I kind of like your take there, because Bam's kind of like Kroger brand Kevin Garnett.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, basic. Yeah.
It's like buying the knockoff pop instead of Mountain Dew. You buy whatever the fucking Mount Lightning, whatever the hell that they have out there. You know what I'm saying?
Lightning.
I mean, it kind of is though, and yeah. Well, I actually remember back when we had drafted Bam. I wasn't as sold as you were. You thought it was a great pick. I
Mm-hmm.
was kind of wanting to see what Whiteside could still do for Heat fans that remember that name. I saw on Whiteside. We had him at the time, and the pick didn't make a lot of sense to me at the time because we had Whiteside. I loved that story. He's a good player for us at one point. But overall, you were right on that one.
See, and how my perspective on it was Hassan Whiteside. He would be he on today's game right now. I think he'll be a lot more dominant because now we get there. Now there's centers that's almost over 7 feet tall. And how tall was Hassan Whiteside? 7 feet tall. I mean, we would guard. We would have been equally matched with teams that had 7 foot um, centers. And I do believe Bam is a great power forward. He'll be a great power forward because he's
I remember you
6'9",
saying that.
6'9", 255 pounds. And the way that Bam is playing in the paint, just think of those two together. Because he, hold on, I did not have. I don't even know we were even going to talk about this.
Well, when it's with the Miami Heat, me a little more passionate because that's our team.
Oh yeah. And see, even his last year with the Heat was 2018, 2019. Averaged 12 points, uh, 11 rebounds. Dang, it doesn't give the stats for the blocks. Dang it. Hold on.
Oh, are you talking about on the internet screen where it gives you the basics?
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, recently, kind of news, Hassan Whiteside recently retired from basketball. It was about a week or so ago. So that is also news. He had a good career with the Miami Heat for a G League, well, a D League at the time, if I recall correctly. Come from the D League and to come to the NBA and average a double-double. You got my respect of that. You worked your butt off.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. So that one year, forgot which year it was when he got the most rebounds, or he beat the oh, Miami Heat's all rebounding and blocks. He did that in the same year. I forgot which year it was.
I think it was his first year with us. His kind of coming out party, more so, is what it more so was. He kind of took the NBA by storm. He was hot news for a hot minute.
I want to say because his best year with the D on, because I can't look at the full stats because
Right.
dang it, I can get it. I just give me a minute. Here we go. Here we go. This is the site I wanted. Here we go. So if I'm looking at this correctly, 2015 and 16 is when he actually no. So 2016, 2017, he had the best average of rebounds that year. Is at 14. So I want to see.
Are you talking single game or are you talking for
Sing-
season averaging?
Well, this was I want to say in I don't want to say in a single game because he had
Found it.
which one? What is it?
Son Whiteside rejected the most shots for the Heat in a game with 12 blocks versus the Bulls on January 25th, 2015.
Yeah, see, I got the right. I mean, I got the year right.
See JB pulling out his memory files too. So hey, we got these memory files
I
with a
mean,
little
and
bit of
then
help from the internet.
looking at the year that he had the best rebounds, I'm looking. There's games that he had 21 rebounds.
His problem was he
22.
never advanced. Right. He never
Oh,
advanced
never
enough
scratch that.
in scoring.
25. That's the
Right.
most I've
He
seen
just
so
couldn't
far.
score well enough.
Oh no. I mean,
He was not a very good.
the most I've seen so far that he averaged that 1 year 2016 2017. He averaged the most I've seen is 32 points a game right now.
32 points a game or 32 for a game?
32 points a game or 32 points in a game.
In a game. Okay.
So yeah, so I mean, most of the points that he got was like in a
Down low.
little bit down low, even though he did score. He did shoot a three quite a few times. So, but like I said, that's what my mindset was when they traded or when we drafted Bam. That would be a great concept, but we just had a different route.
We did. Minnesota's kind of recently done that with Karl Anthony Towns and Rudy Gobert. I think the difference there is you have Anthony Edwards who can actually score the ball for you. Miami does not have an Anthony Edwards type of score. They just don't. Was the philosophy. And it's worked well. I mean, we've made the finals twice, won the Eastern Conference Finals both of those years, obviously. Been a playoff team multiple times, even post LeBron.
Mm-hmm.
When we lost all those bandwagon fans and everyone thought we would suck. Well, it was quite the opposite. So we'll see how Miami does against Utah today. It's a close game, so me and JB obviously will keep track on that. However, me and JB are going to move to casual talk. And again, it's all basketball topic this week. Again, we'll be bringing football back next week. The combine's wrapping up. So, JB, this week's casual talk. NCAA basketball, my friend. We're going to talk about court storming. JB, court storming has been getting a lot of hate by the national media because I'm looking here that a Duke player, that Duke player Kyle Phil, I'm not going to be able to say this name right, so I'm going to pull a JB here.
Say it.
Kyle
This
Filipowski. I think
this is the podcast where we get names wrong.
that's right. Kyle Filipowski. I think that actually might be correct. I've watched some tape on him. He's a good player, but he was so-called injured during the court storming when Duke lost to Wake Forest. A lot of hate. A lot of people are calling for the NCAA to ban court storming. JB, do you think the NCAA should ban court storming for player safety purposes or not? And why?
I don't think so. Because you want to know why? They're students. They're not professionals. It's different with professionals. It is
Now,
it's an extracurricular activity in a school. And yes,
now they're getting paid now, though.
ooh, still,
Is it? Is it? Is it?
to me, do you go to class? Do these players go to class? Do these
Yeah,
players have to go to a classroom and do a science class, an English class, a math class? So,
they do.
even though they're still getting paid, but guess what? It is a school. It is an extracurricular activity that they signed up for to play for that school. So what do you see in high schools? For example, high schools with if the fans of the high school, parents, students, keyword students, if their school wins the championship, what do? They storm the court. They storm the field. So, going to college, it's the exact same thing. Yes, there are a little bit more fans that's going in the outside world or in the outside of the school. Yes, there is. But majority of the people that's close to the court are the students. Except for some of the people that actually has the big bucks and you know, they can go. They can sit at the sit some of the where on the court side. But the main students are in that area. So, with that being said, yes, there is should be something involved with the player safeties, with the other team's safety. There should be security on standby for this to help guide the students to storm and celebrate with their classmates. Because, yes, they are getting paid. They need to get more security involved. So, no, I don't think that the storming of the court and storming of the field should be banned because that defeats the college atmosphere. So, don't ban, get more security. And if there's an athlete that gets in the way while there's security there, I do believe, in my knowledge, actually, not I don't believe. I think that student should get in trouble because he was out of line of his safety. So, because there is, because I do see in the near future, there's going to be more security. I don't think the NCAA is going to ban storming the field and storming the courts. I don't.
I hope not.
I don't think so. I sure hope not. I don't want it because that will defeat the purpose. So just get more security involved for the opposing team to get them um, out of the way so the students can celebrate with their classmates.
You know, we agree, but for different reasons. I'm going to take side. It's a business now. It is. I wish it wasn't
Oh
because
yeah.
the word student athlete to me is more so been perverted Because these guys are getting transfer money, NIL money. These guys are getting rights to video games and college football now. So I'm sure college basketball will follow suit with the new games here shortly themselves. So these players are making money. So that's what. So why bring this up now? Why is now court storming such a horrible thing when it's been happening for decades and decades and forever? It's been part of college sports
Mm-hmm.
because players are making money. Money is, as a saying out in the world, in the real world, that money is the root of all evil. Money is going to ruin sports if we allow it to. Money's damn near ruined the Super Bowl because casual fans who actually put their blood, sweat, and work into the team. I'm an NFL owner. I own the Packers, and I can't
Especially
afford
behind
to
you
go
right
to a
there
Super Bowl
because there is an actual thing that says that you're a Packer owner.
right here. So with that, oh, it's embarrassing because now, let's say the Packers make the Super Bowl next year. You think I can afford to go? No, not when the tickets are a house payment or a car payment or more than my car's worth or your truck's worth or whatever the case may be. So money is the root to all evil. So there's that. So now that money's being involved, what?
And well, sorry to interrupt, but Xavier Worthy, he's worthy, all right, with his speed. He just tied the NFL Combine 40-yard dash record. 4.22.
Wow. Wow, really? Is that the official time or is that the unofficial time?
That is the official
Official time?
time. Just tied
Hey,
it.
you have breaking news on the unbiased right now. Combine 40
Dang.
time has been tied. Not broke.
It's a
Wow,
quick
okay.
young man right there.
Right, his draft stock just rose.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, for sure. So you look at court storming. So let's look. What injury occurred? Kyle Flipowski didn't miss a single game from his injury from court storming. Dude didn't miss a game. He played the next game. Reports said that he had to wear a bag of ice on his knee because someone bumped him or struck his knee or whatever the case may be. So the issue is these players are making money now, and now that they're making monies, these universities see something like that, and they're like, "Oh my God, you have to ban it." Players are making money. It's going to ruin the sport. I'm going to call for the NCAA to do this. Don't don't ban it. It's part of, like you said, the college atmosphere. It's part of college sports. Here's something. If Duke doesn't want their court stormed, maybe they should beat teams they're supposed to beat. Duke's better than Wake Forest. You don't want them to storm your court, beat them. Do something
Mm-hmm.
about it.
Exactly.
Otherwise, why are we here? You're taking the path in the game. You are. Players are going to start making money, get lax, not care. Kind of like the NBA, where you have load management and whatnot. NCAA better be careful. Part of college sports. Leave it alone. Stop ruining things.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I call it cancel culture. I'm not one to get political on our podcast, not my style,
Cancel
not the time and the
culture.
place. Right, cancel culture. You see something you don't like, get rid of it and ruin the experience for everybody else. That's what liberals do. Liberals lose. That's all I'll say about that.
I mean, what does the letter start
Who's going to
with? Or
win?
what's the word start with?
Liberal and loser, same letter. You are damn correct, my friend. You are damn correct. And with
Shake
that,
off in
let's talk
his
about this. This is my final point on that.
forehead.
My final point on court storming is this. Texas A&M Commerce and Incarnate. Are you familiar with that game that happened recently?
No.
It's a lower level schools. Their game ended and there was a brawl. Look it up when we're done on this podcast. It was bad. In my opinion, it was probably the worst I've seen since Malice at the Palace in the NBA. A young girl and a student manager had injuries. Not players, spectators. But no one's talking about that. Why? Because college athletes aren't held to the same standards everyone else is. If me and Patrick Mahomes get pulled over for the same thing, I will be held to a higher standard than he is because he's rich and famous and he has money. So different. If
Mm-hmm.
fans storm the court, they have an issue with it. You can have players on a college team beat I'm gonna curse on this because it's the truth. They will beat the living shit out of each other on a court and act like a bunch of hoodlums who have no place in being there and injure spectators and part of the student staff. And we're not talking about that. That didn't make big news. But we need to worry about Kyle Filipowski's knee he had to put freaking ice on and didn't miss a single game. Bunch of baloney. The NCAA needs to worry more about their players beating the shit out of each other than they do about the fans storming the court. A young girl and a manager on the athletic staff was injured. But don't worry, Kyle Filipowski had to put an ice bag on his knee. Bunch of crap. Court storming's fine. I'll take it a step farther. I think the NBA should allow it. In the playoffs only. There's a hot take. The NBA should allow it. Why not? If LeBron doesn't want his court ran on, win. That's simple. You don't want your court ran on, win the game.
True.
What do you think? Should the NBA allow it?
No. Because you
Too
want to
much
know
money
why?
involved.
Too much money involved. And we don't want to have the exact same incident as Ron Artest is. Why do you think we can't have no more bottles inside the arena anymore?
Ron Artest.
Remember the one time that when we went to an Indiana Pacer game, they gave us cups and not the bottles. And we asked, why can't we get the bottles in there? And they said, because of Ron Artest.
They did.
So,
Fact. The Indiana Pacers staff did tell us that. That's correct.
so with that, that's I think that's the main reason why we won't have fans storming the courts and the fields in that matter, because of that reasons. I mean, look what happens when a fan runs on the field. So
They immediately arrest them and get them off the field. You're correct. I agree. I don't think it'll happen on a professional level. I just wish it would, because money's involved. The problem with college sports right now is money's getting involved there too, and they're going to ruin the college game doing it, unfortunately. Transfer portal's too big of a thing. A player doesn't get exactly what he wants when he wants it. Instead of listening to your authority figure, which is your coach, they'll just transfer out and go get some money somewhere else. That's the unfortunate part.
Yep.
However, casual talk. We always have a lot of our best conversations in the casual talk. So, it's the last time I say this. Casual talk's kind of a new thing. Let us know in the comments down below what you guys think of it. Me and JB kind of like it. I think it kind of sparks the podcast in a non-football season. So, let us know what you think down below. With that, me and JB are going to do something we have never talked about on a podcast. And really, we don't really talk about outside of our podcast. Me and JB are going to talk about women's basketball. Because women's basketball is a sport that has been made fun of for a long time. I ain't even going to lie, even us to a point when we were younger. However, Caitlin Clark is kind of changing that narrative a little bit. Look, Caitlin Clark, she declared for the WNBA draft. Oh look, the Indiana Fever, our home state, holds the #1 pick in the WNBA draft. JB, the Indiana Fever have Alea Boston, who won the Rookie of the Year last year. So with that, JB, if Caitlin Clark, which we think she will, gets drafted by the Fever, do you think that Indiana contenders in the WNBA day one?
Oh, most definitely. And it's been a science proven fact that women have a better shooting form than what men do. So, I mean, I don't know if that's I did read an article years ago about this, and I do see that in a way. So, Kaylin Clark beating the um, women's scoring title. You know, she'll go down to the best um, W or women's basketball player ever in college history, and she's still
Easily.
easily. So with that
Easily.
being,
Easily.
I mean with that being said, um, but yeah, with the Indiana Fever being number one, I do believe the Fever are going to be contenders game one, day one. Um, and then yes, like you said before, we did joke around this quite a few bit, but for years and years to come, women's sports is becoming a little bit more popular,
It is 100%.
a lot more popular. And I think you even went to one before.
I did. I took my son to an Indiana Fever game. He's starting to show interest in sports, and when he was doing that, the NBA had concluded, but the WNBA was in the mid of their season, and he asked me to go to a basketball game, in which I ended up buying Fever tickets for that. That is correct, yes.
So
And he
you
absolutely had a blast.
so and then was because I never been to one, and I kind of want to. So how was the
I'll
stadium?
say it was actually
Was
relatively full at the time. It was an afternoon game. It was, if I remember correctly, it was a noon or 1 o'clock game we went to, which is unusual.
mhm.
But when we went, there were a lot of people, but it was also kids' day there, and they had a lot of like youth groups and stuff like that. I would say the stands was probably 70% children and 30% adults. But that game actually went to overtime, and when a shot was hit to put it in overtime, you mainly heard kid voices, but the stadium erupted.
Oh yeah. So it's becoming more and more popular. So but yes, Caitlin Clark is changing the whole aspect of the women's basketball because I think this game that she's playing in today. I'm looking this up. I'm checking to see if this is actually correct that they're playing today or not.
I believe so, yes.
Of course, I can't click on. Of course, I can't click on the team. Why couldn't I? Of course. Of course. Iowa. Here we go. So, well, actually, no. They play tomorrow against the number 2 Ohio State.
Okay.
So, and I'm going to tell you this. You know how much these tickets are at?
Let me guess. For a decent ticket,
For a decent ticket.
I would say, well, I mean, you look, she has a chance to beat Pete Maravich's all-time NCAA basketball in general scoring record. I would say $800.
So, an average ticket right now, the most expensive ticket on Vivid Seats right now. The cheapest is $337, and the expensive ticket is $1,075.
I was relatively close. Okay.
So,
Wow, that's insane.
and I really want to see where the most expensive ticket is at. So it's on row 8. This is in the Hawkeyes uh, court. It is row 8, sideline BB. So relatively close. That is $1,000 a ticket
For women's basketball. You ever
for
think you'd say that?
women's. Nope. So yeah, it's pretty. So I will say, Caitlin Clark, she is changing the game of women's
Yes,
basketball.
I would agree with you. And I'm going to pick up kind of where you left off. She definitely is easily the most hyped female athlete that I can recall in my lifetime. In basketball, you have the Williams sisters in tennis. But outside of that, you talk about major sports. Caitlin Clark is the biggest female athlete I can recall. So let's look. I'm going to pull her stats up and see if the hype matches the stats. Well, Caitlin Clark is averaging 32.2 points a game. That's first in the country. 8.7 assists per game. That's also first in the country. Caitlin Clark is close to Pete Maravich's all-time college basketball, not just women's, in scoring. That's why the tickets are probably so high. She has 17 career triple-doubles, and Lee is, like you said, it broke the record for all-time leading scorer for females, is close to all-time in general. And the Hawkeyes are 24 wins, 4 losses. The only thing she had in the championship, they lost to Angel Reese's team, if I recall, to LSU a couple years back.
Yep.
So you look, this draft is going to have Angel Reese coming out, and this draft is going to have Caitlin Clark coming out. Both those athletes are, I think, changing women's sports. I think Caitlin Clark more so. But I'm looking here. So let's look at the Indiana Fever. Alea Boston was the first pick of the WNBA draft last year. She averaged 0.5 points a game, 8.4 rebounds a game, 2.2 assists per game with the Fever last year. Alea Boston won NBA Rookie of the Year, was an All-Star, and an All-Rookie team member. So, you're going to pair Caitlin Clark up with Alea Boston. Caitlin Clark will be option 1, and you have a good side player, and Alea Boston. So you're going to have a good duo there in Indiana, so long as they take Caitlin Clark. So it isn't like she's going to be a one-man show. Alea Boston's proven herself to be a good WNBA player as well. So you're going to have 2 really good young players with the Fever. I think she does make them a title contender day one. I truly do. And it's going to be good for Indiana basketball. Again, of course, Indiana's known for their basketball. You got the Pacers, they're in playoff contention right now. It's looking like the Fever are going to pair up Alea Boston with Caitlin Clark. Purdue's in the national championship hunt as well. They're a top team. So it's an exciting time for Indiana basketball right now. I think she's going to put the Fever back on the map. Because the Fever haven't playoffs since 2016. Now, the Fever have a WNBA championship under their belt. They do. But they haven't made the playoffs since 2016. That's going to change with Caitlin Clark and Alea Boston. Caitlin Clark's the real deal. Again, this is the most I've ever followed women's sports. As far as the basketball level, I have no problem with women's sports. Women's sports is an outstanding thing. I've attended a game myself. But let's be honest here, the NBA is more popular. It always has been, and it probably always will be. I think Caitlin Clark can kind of change that narrative a little bit and make the WNBA more popular by herself. People are going to tune in to Indiana Fever games for Caitlin Clark.
Oh, yeah.
Especially if they're winning. She might be the athlete to kind of change that narrative a little bit, like you said. What she's been doing is very impressive. I think it's a good thing. I think it's a good thing for Indiana basketball.
Oh,
Exciting
definitely. So, sorry to interrupt. But the official time for Xavier Worthy, 4-2-1.
And the record was what?
4.22.
Broke the record.
He broke
We
the
have
record.
a new time. So,
Yep.
congratulations for that. That man just made himself some more money with a higher draft pick. So, good to see breaking news on the Unbiased Hard Take. It's been a hot minute for that.
I think that was on his third. No, that was his second attempt. Because his first run, he ran a 4.25. So yeah, his second run, 4.22, and then the official time on his second run was a 4.21.
Hey, we did it. So, hey, got ourselves a new combine leader. Caitlin Clark's probably coming to Indiana.
Yep.
So, exciting
And
time in
I bet
sports. The
you,
combine.
and then I bet you money, if Caitlin Clark comes to Indiana, and I hope she does. But if she doesn't, the Indiana Fever is stupid to not drafting that big of a caliber. But if
Oh, they're
they,
going to draft her.
they're going to. But we've seen some dumb picks before in all sports. So, and it's Indiana. So, but
I'll leave this here.
I'm
At one
also
point, the Cavs drafted Bennett, first pick of the draft. There's a good example for you.
But if Caitlin Clark gets drafted, the Pacers. No, wait. Does the Indiana Fever have their own, or do they still share with the Pacers?
Yeah, they play in Gainbridge Fieldhouse.
Okay, so with that being said, guess who's going to sell out of those games now? Wherever Caitlin Clark goes, it's going to be a sold out team because everyone will want to see Caitlin Clark.
You are absolutely correct. So, with that, that's all me and JB have for today's Unbiased Heart Take. JB, anything else you want to add, my friend? Another all basketball podcast today. Basketball's heating up.
Well, even though I shared a little bit because breaking news on my notifications here. Congrats to Xavier Worthy from Texas. Longhorn receiver is now the fastest combine player to come out. So congratulations, Xavier Worthy.
Football's done different in Texas.
Oh yeah. So hopefully will be a better player than what John Ross was. So hopefully you don't have a season-ending injury like a career-ending injury like John Ross had. It sucks to see a young player like John Ross get injured, and so much talent out of that of him. But Caitlin Clark, you changed the game, the women's basketball, and it is for a good cause. You put women's basketball, you put women's sports in all in a good spot. So congratulations, Caitlin Clark. Like I said, I hope I see our Miami Heat play a little bit better ball. I want to see more fight for Terry Rozier. I feel like 19 points, 13, 18 points is not going to cut it. So I want to see a little bit more fight from the B tier score. And yeah, that's pretty much that's all I have. Like, comment, and subscribe.
And check out the Sports Fact of the Day. We do that every day. We have some combine coverage. I've been covering the combine pretty good. Me and JB are going to talk about the combine next week's podcast. That's currently going on, and will continue up until tomorrow as well. That's why we didn't talk combine this week, as it's still occurring. Today is the quarterbacks, receivers, quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers. That is today. So tomorrow, the combine continues. We'll talk about that next week. One thing I want to add is Zach Edey announced that he will not return to Purdue and he will enter the NBA draft, as we all probably knew that was going to happen. So this is a big year for Purdue. We need to win the Natty this year. It has to happen now or it's never going to happen. That's my take. It's now or never for Matt Painter. Purdue plays Michigan State tonight, so I'll be tuning into that. That's all I got. JB covered everything else. That's all I got. As always, go Pat, go. Let's go Heat. And boiler up, baby.
And yeah, so that is all for this week's episode of The Unbiased Partake. We'll see you next week. And as always, let's go Heat. Let's go Steelers. And boiler up. We will see you next week.
See y'all next week.